All Blacks in Ireland, folks. The first test is upon us. It is on this Saturday. We are going to go through some lineups, some stats, predictions, recent history, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on how this game, which is much anticipated, is going to play out. There's a lot of rugby on in July, including this game. And I, for one, am very keen to see this one just get started, man. We saw a little bit of a taste of it with the Māori All Blacks. Good performance up against the Irish on Wednesday, albeit a much different team from this team we see for Saturday. But we are going to get started with some lineups. I'll put them down in the description as well. I should say before we get started, for you guys in the States, all the July games are on Flow Rugby. So Argentina, Scotland, New Zealand, Ireland, Wales, South Africa, Australia, England, Japan against France, the US Eagles up against the French Barbars. Flow Rugby down in the description. If you do want to see all that rugby and you're in the States, use that link, please, and you'll be helping me out greatly. But, the All Blacks. New Zealand is collectively losing its mind at one of the picks, but we'll get to that one in a second. The front row is Bauer, Taylor, and Tuungafasi, so a couple of Crusaders there. Personally, Taukei'aho is the form hooker in New Zealand rugby for mine, but you go with the experience of Taylor. Taukei'aho is on the bench. Retallick and Sam Whitelock is about as experienced a locking duo in world rugby as you like to see. And then Scotty Barrett at 6 is the one that I mentioned is making people go a little bit crazy over here in NZ. The logic being he's a lock and he can play 6, but the last time he played 6 for the All Blacks was when we played England in the Rugby World Cup semi-final, and we lost that game, so the immediate connection is there. If you pick Scott Barrett at 6, the All Blacks lose. So people, as I said, are losing their minds. Obviously, I'll give him a chance. Fozzie did mention in the press conference, I guess to put in a little bit of context, that Akira Ioane, who was one of the other contenders for that 6 jersey, has got a sore foot. So he didn't want to kind of pick him at less than 100%. And Dalton, having his appendix out recently, is maybe also not 100% to start. So he is on the bench. So Fozzie's hands were a little bit tied, I guess, by the fact that, a couple of the other guys are maybe not at 100%. Plus you've got Pita Sowakula, who was also named on the bench, but he's a debutant and maybe didn't want to chuck him in to the deep end in a test up against Ireland for his debut, starting. So there's a few reasons Scotty Barrett starts at 6, but he is at 6. Fozzie talked up his running game. I'm not that convinced. He said for a lock, he's really dynamic. His numbers aren't that much better than any other lock. Personally, he does get through a lot of work. He gets through a lot of carries. His work rate is high. I'll give him that. But there's certainly other locks who can carry the ball into contact just as well as Scotty Barrett. But we'll see how he goes at 6. Certainly line-out time, he's going to be a key operator. So we'll see how he goes at 6. We'll give him a chance. Sam Cane's at 7. He's captain. Ardie Savea is at 8. There's always debate in New Zealand about how Sam Cane gets accommodated and other guys have to shift around. Sam Cane is the captain. So, I've done videos about his numbers before. He brings certain aspects to the All Blacks game. Tackling machine. Big hard tackler if he can stay fit. He's certainly going to bring something that the All Blacks selectors like, even if New Zealand rugby fans aren't all behind him. Some fans are certainly behind him, but he's a bit of a divisive figure, to put it mildly. Aaron Smith and Brodie Barrett, that's a pretty experienced 9-10 combo, you'd have to say. And then Tupaea and Ioane is the midfield. I think we all expected, with the absence of Goodhue and ALB is injured. Goodhue's got COVID, and Havili's got COVID as well. So, I think given the guys that are left, Tupaea, big ball carrier, defensively could be exposed, but we'll see. Rieko, absolute wheels, and his defensive game has gotten a lot better at 13. I think offensively that's a pretty good midfield. Leicester Fainga'anuku is named to debut on the left wing. If you haven't seen him play before, Irish fans, he is a big ball-carrying unit. Just a very large human. Very fast. Beats defenders. He's the top equal try scorer in the Super Rugby Pacific competition, plays for the Crusaders, and his teammate Sevu Reece is on the right wing, more of a complete game, that guy. Even watch out for his kicks, man. His kicks back in field are certainly dangerous. And then Jordie Barrett named at 15. Remember, Will Jordan is another one who was out with COVID. Fozzie is supposed to be back with the All Blacks, I think, on Saturday, as long as he gets kind of cleared. His recovery seems to be going well. Greg Feeks also got COVID though. Laulala's got a sore neck, so Lomax has transferred from the Māori All Blacks to the All Blacks squad, but he's not named in the 23. The bench, Taukei'aho, Tuungafasi, Taukei'aho, Tuungafasi, and Savea. It's a lot of T's. Experienced, I guess you would say, front row replacement. Sowakula as your debutant, like I mentioned. Loose forward, so I guess Scotty Barrett is the guy who's going to cover lock if one of the other guys has to go off. Papalii, like I mentioned, had his appendix out, but he's good enough for the bench. Christie's had a good season for the Blues. Mo'unga is maybe a bit unlucky to be on the bench. Remember, he's had a stomach bug earlier in the week, so maybe they kind of wanted to give him a chance to just, play 20 minutes or so at the end. And then Braydon wasn't initially named in the All Blacks lineup, but as I mentioned, no ALB with injury, no Goodhue, no Havili. We're short on bodies in the midfield, so Eno is that kind of versatile guy who can carry a bit of everything. Ireland, obviously way different side from played the Māori All Blacks, as is to be expected. You've got a pretty world-class looking front row with Porter, Sheehan and Furlong. Sheehan is in the place of Kelleher, who didn't make the tour with an injury. And then you got two of the best props in the world in Furlong and Porter. So scrum time is going to be one of the key tests for both these sides. I think the All Blacks won't face many better tests than that Irish front row. And keep your eyes on Sheehan, man, because that guy's got wheels for a hooker. Byrne and Ryan is the locking duo. Tyke Byrne, certainly. He's another one that kind of gets a little bit of a question mark because kind of like Scotty Barrett, I guess. He's a guy who floats between the locks and the loose forwards. Certainly at the breakdown time, there's no better guy than Tyke Byrne to have putting that extra bit of a threat. There's some people who say he's a bit of a lightweight at scrum time and they need a bulkier body in behind those props, but I'm pretty happy with Tyke there. And then, James Ryan is a bit of a unit himself with a bit of work rate about him as well. So I'd be pretty happy with that type 5 if I was an Irish fan. Omani, Van der Fleer and Doris, very experienced back row. Omani's going to be disruptive at line-out time, so for all the bonus you get by playing Scott Barrett, that maybe is cancelled out by Peter Omani being there because defensively at line-out time there's not many better operators. Josh Van der Fleer is going to get through 1 million tackles, you know that. But he's also got that ball carrying game to go with that now over the last kind of 12, 18 months. And then Caelan Doris, leg drive, post-contact meters. He is certainly one of the better operators in the game. Gibson Park and Sexton, the 19 combo, the Leinster duo. Just the relentless attack of Ireland is something we'll have to look out for. If these guys can get some ball, Gibson Park's going to be a key man for that. And then giving that ball to Sexton for him to set up some of those backline moves and just the forward runners from hitting Gibson Park's quick passes. You got to feel that's going to be key to the game, and Gibson Park's been perfect for that role. Henshaw and Ringrose is the midfield. Again, experienced. Those guys have played a lot of game time together at Leinster and at Ireland. Lowe, Earls are the wingers. Interestingly, Earls, he's going to be one of the guys who starts both games. He started against the Māori All Blacks, but remember, they've lost Hume to injury, and they've had Hansen test positive for COVID, so they're maybe likewise a little bit short on bodies. And then Hugo Keenan, ever present at fullback for the Irish, very good in the air. If the All Blacks want to test him, they can give it a crack, but he doesn't drop that many. Replacements, Heffernan, Beelum and Healy. So there's a few bodies there who started or came off the bench against the Māori All Blacks. Healy is the especially, I don't want to say troubling, but surprising one, because he looked to have taken a long-term injury against the Māori All Blacks, but apparently he's sore, but they're optimistic he's going to be fit to play. So that's incredible. The guy must be made of some pretty tough stuff. Treadwell and Conan are there as well. Both those guys featured in the Māori All Blacks game too. Conor Murray, Joey Carberry, that's a monster duo on the bench. Plenty of experience, you'd say. And then Bundyaki, captain the side against the Māori All Blacks. He's in the 23 jumper. So, yeah, man. Both pretty good looking sides. Obviously, neither side is with all the players they would like to have. But, 80% plus there, I think. Recent history between the sides, interestingly, maybe for the first time, if you were to look back at the last 5 games, Ireland actually have the edge over the All Blacks. In my lifetime, this is not something I'm familiar with seeing, but we are getting more used to it. There's the win in Dublin last year, the win in Dublin in 2018, and then the win in Chicago back in 2016. all in that last 5, and then a couple of All Blacks wins, one at the World Cup, and then the 2016 game in Dublin. So, yeah, it's been a bit of a mixed bag between these two sides, although the average score is still 25-22 to New Zealand. I guess that World Cup game kind of blows out the scoreline a wee bit. That one was 46 points to 14. So, yeah, it's going to be fascinating, folks. I mean, Ireland have never won in New Zealand, so there is that little bit of extra mental pressure. Certainly the monkey is off the back in terms of not being able to beat New Zealand, clearly. But in New Zealand is obviously a different story. When they did play in 2021 in Dublin, Ireland absolutely dominated the possession and territory. If the stats are true, Ireland had 8 minutes in the All Blacks 22, which is a bit of a lifetime in rugby terms, whereas the All Blacks had less than 2 minutes in the Irish 22. So, yeah, that's just the nature of the way the Irish were playing the game in that game. Like I mentioned, the relentless ruck speed and just consistent, throwing ball carriers at the All Blacks defence. I mean, the All Blacks still managed, despite only having 35% possession, to generate 6 line breaks to the Irish 3. So the All Blacks are still always a threat. Like, even in a game where they're getting dominated position-wise, they can still cut teams open. So at home, I would like to think they're going to have a bit more position than they did in Dublin. But, yeah, we'll have to wait and see how this one goes, folks. Predictions-wise, if you guys think you know, join the Super Brew pool. That game's getting underway very soon. So if you want to sign up, probably last chance to do that. But predictions-wise, the bookies have got the All Blacks by 11. And the Rugby Forecast algorithm's got the All Blacks by 12. So, yeah, the All Blacks are predicted to be relatively comfortable winners in this one. We usually are at home, but we will have to see, man. It doesn't play out on paper. Carl Dixon is the ref. Eden Park is the venue. We haven't lost there in a very long time. It is a sellout. It should be a pretty good game, folks. If you want British and Irish Lions gear, summer sale, 70% off some of the gear. Link down in the description for that. I got links for everything, folks. But yeah, you guys let me know your thoughts on this one. Can you see the Irish breaking All Blacks' hearts at Eden Park, or do you think the All Blacks at home are just going to be too strong? You guys let me know your thoughts. Very much looking forward to it. And yes, I will talk to you guys again. So, see you later.